Hello and welcome back, podcast people. You're listening to the Introverted Nerd Watches. I am your host, Reese, and I'm back for some more Black Lightning. For a bizarre episode of Black Lightning. And this week I watched season 2, episode 6, The Book of Blood, chapter 2, The Perdi. My God. Okay, first of all, full disclosure, I only watched this episode once. I didn't have time to do what I usually do. I usually watch the episode 2 times so I can take notes and everything. But I didn't have time for that this week because of the holiday. No, I'm lying. I just didn't have time. I was doing other stuff, shopping, whatever. Any old way. So, you know, I'm going to tell you that maybe I missed things. I try to watch closely, and I didn't live tweet the episode this week. So the one time that I did get a chance to watch it, I wasn't like live tweeting like I usually do the first time I watch it. So, we'll see what happens. This episode was really weird. I don't think I liked it that much. I'm still kind of like processing it. So, we'll get into everything. But before we do, you need to subscribe to the podcast because I'm usually not this indecisive. I usually know exactly what I like and what I don't like. So subscribe and you'll hear those episodes as soon as I release them, of me telling you what I love and what I hate. And, you'll get my full opinion. So hit subscribe. The podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I'm also on iHeartRadio and Spotify. So head to all of those places, subscribe. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave me a 5-star review. And yeah, let's get into The Book of Blood, chapter 2, The Perdi. So yeah, it just feels like I felt when I first turned on the episode, I felt like I was missing something. Like, where did all of this come from? We moved on from, what was the Book of Consequences was the first book. And now we're in the Book of Blood. And I feel like, I told you, I felt like last week was, I think I said it last week that I felt like last week's episode, the first chapter of the Book of Blood was more set up and they, and all that. But this week feels like we skipped the in-between. We skipped the thing that was supposed to be being set up. So I just feel like we skipped a chapter. I was just so like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, so I just felt I wasn't, and it's not even confusing. I also had a problem with Anissa's acting. I told you last week, I knew that we were about to get an Anissa heavy episode, and damned if I was right. My God, my fucking God, you guys. She's not good. She's just not. And the new girl, Anaya, the pregnant girl who had her twins this episode, she's also not a very good actress. So having these two like cardboard cutouts trying to emote with each other is just like, come on. Like, why are you doing this to us? Yeah. So, and I told you last week, I didn't want to just come in every week shitting on Anissa, but I just feel she's not strong enough. She's not a strong enough actress to carry this by herself. Way too much of this depends on her. So I just feel like, yeah, it doesn't work for me. I don't like the actress that much. She is very pretty, and I hate just being like, just be pretty, don't talk. I kind of wish that she was the she take the place of Cyanide, who I also didn't want didn't want to talk. I'm such a bad feminist. I'm sitting over here telling you that I want other women just to be pretty and not speak. But come on, they're both not very good actresses. Come on. I mean, am I lying though? You guys know I'm not. You know I'm right. So where do we want to start? Let's start with my man Gambi. Because, I mean, he obviously wasn't dead. I told you last week that I didn't believe he was dead. So I didn't think he would come back in this episode. I thought that they would try to play the whole Gambi is dead thing for a little while longer. But, I mean, I guess thankfully they didn't. And so Gambi, Gambi starts off the episode by going after the hitman that tried to take him out. And Gambi is just as bad as ever. He has the dude taped to a chair with his hand taped to a butcher block, and he's already cut off two of his fingers with a cleaver while he's questioning him. Gambi is fucking torturing this man, and I'm like, I was so excited to see it. I'm such a terrible person because I was excited to see Gambi like torturing this guy. Yeah, I was just happy to see it. And so, you know, Gambi is questioning this guy and wanting to know who took out the hit on him. And turns out the guy doesn't know. He doesn't know who hired him. He was paid in Bitcoin, which, okay, a hitman is taking payments in Bitcoin now. Okay. I mean, I guess it's just supposed to be funny, but yeah. Anyway, and the guy is like, you know, he's telling Gambi like, yo, you know how it is. I don't know who hired me, blah, 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 trying to plead his case. And he actually tells Gambi, he has like two little, like toy dogs, not toys, but you know, those little small teacup dogs. And they're all like pampered and they have like bows and shit in their hair. They're really adorable dogs. I want those dogs. And the guy is like, you going to come in here and you're going to abuse me in front of my family? And Gambi looks at them and he's like, yeah, sorry. And then the guy is like, well, you know how it is. You know how this stuff works. And Gambi's like, yep, I know how this works. And he just put 3 in his chest and apologized to his dogs and left. I was like, that is my Gambi. Oh, just out here killing niggas and not caring. And I freaking love that about him. Like, I love Gambi's sort of moral ambiguity. And I guess, I mean, who cares if you kill a hitman, I guess. And it's not like Gambi can go to the cops because everybody thinks he's dead and he wants to. I knew he was going to try to stay under the radar to find out. I thought that what he was going to try to do was catch Tobias. And obviously that's still a possibility. But right now he's trying to find out who killed him or who tried to kill him. So, you know, I want to know like what's going to happen with Gambi next. We get the other thing we get with him is a flashback to what actually happened, how he escaped the burning car. And when you see it, oh my God, this flashback. So Gambi is like holed up in a hotel. He's got all of his tech and everything around him. So he can watch Anissa and Jefferson. So Gambi is like connected to everything, but they don't know that he's still alive, which is going to be a problem later in this episode. We'll talk about that. But the flashback to what happened. So he's driving, you see the car chase again, but then you see what Gambi is doing while he's in the car. And so he has like this escape hatch in the bottom of his car, which he opens. And when he swerves into the little lot that, where his car explodes, he There's an opening, like an escape hatch that opens under his feet. Like Gambi's a fucking ninja. He jumps out of the escape hatch. He lets the car roll over to his side. He runs into like a like heavily wooded area where he can hide, and then he blows up the car himself. And I could not stop laughing. I'm like, Gambi is like 70 years old, but my nigga is like a ninja and in this bitch. He can just, I'm like, how many 70-year-olds can do what Gambi did? Like he didn't break a hip or anything. But he ninja'd himself out of that car, and Gambi can do anything. Like just make sure he's on your side. It's all that, you have to do. You have to make sure Gambi is on your side or you're in trouble. Because you can't trust him. You can't trust him unless he's like your ally. So yeah, that was the Gambi thing. He comes back at the end of the episode, but we'll get to that when we get into the Anissa Jefferson thing. So let's talk about before we get into the news, let's talk about the other Pierces, Lynn and Jennifer. So Lynn and Jeff are two peas in a pod, because as soon as things start going bad with them, they start drinking. Like this is not something we saw last season, because I guess things just got really bad in this season. Well, maybe we saw Jeff drinking last season. Like every once in a while at the end of an episode, Jeff will be sitting in his chair or in his bedroom with a drink. But you never see them get drunk until this season. And Lynn gets drunk. So Lynn is depressed about the pods, the pod babies dying. And I'm bored with it. I don't care. I already told you that. I don't care about these pod babies. So she's like at home drinking. She's telling Jeff about it. And then they hold like a meeting with the families of the pod babies. And Lynn has to tell the families that 14 of the pods died, but she can't really give them any information. And it was so silly to me, this whole scene. So I guess they're at the school. I don't know where they are, where they have all these people. It looks like they're in the school gym, because I guess that's a big enough space to have all of these people. But Lynn and the other people from the lab are there, or in security and all that. And Jeff is there with her. And she's telling them about how 14 pods have already died. And of course, the parents and the families start to get upset, and they're asking like, yo, can you tell me like who died? Who of them died? And you have one father specifically holding up a picture of his daughter saying, hey, this is my daughter. Can you tell me if my daughter is still alive? And this is like shit that you should expect. But for some reason, they chose to tell all of these people, but they can't give them any information. And so Lynn is, I don't know, trying to calm the situation, but she's obviously getting upset herself. And she's telling them, we have counseling for you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, who the fuck cares about counseling? How can you counsel me about this situation when you can't even tell me that my kid died? So what are you counseling me about? Counseling me about my kid might be dead. So we're going to get counselors for all of you people, just in case. We're going to counsel you all the same way, because some of your kids are dead. Some of them are still alive. So it was such a stupid scene. And I don't know why. I really don't understand why it was in the episode. Did they need something for Lynn to do? Do we need to see Lynn sort of spiraling out of control and they wanted to use this for that? I don't know. I don't understand why it's here. Why would they do it? It was just such a stupid meeting. And eventually everybody gets the parents and the families get so upset that they try to attack Lynn. They're upset that they don't know who died. And so they rush Lynn out of there. The father that I was just talking about, ends up following Lynn, and he like runs into her car. Like she stops at a light and he runs into her car, and like from the back, not like seriously, but it's enough to jolt her. And he gets out and he runs up to her window and he's still asking about his daughter. So it's like, what did you expect? Like, Lynn, when you do this kind of thing, not a press conference, but when you do this kind of thing and you don't really give anybody information except to tell them that your kid might be dead, like, what did you really expect? She drives off from that guy and she goes home and she's like really depressed, and she's drinking when Jennifer walks in, and Jennifer's trying to joke with her, and Lynn is like, little girl, I'm not here for your bullshit right now. I got like important stuff going on. And so she's just drinking, just mostly through most of this episode, Lynn is drinking and being a problem, and getting sick. So she talks to Jennifer, and Jennifer has this really bizarre conversation with Lynn where Lynn just needs somebody to talk to. And she's telling Jennifer, she didn't mean for any of these people to die. She was trying to save them all. And Jennifer at first says, it's not your fault that they died. But she goes into it in this roundabout way where I feel like she's trying to make another point, but it didn't really make any sense to me. So she's saying, she goes into it by making reference to herself, like about how she has to learn her powers. And Lynn is like, yeah, you have to learn how to control your powers and all that, blah, blah, blah. But then she makes this turn where she goes, and maybe I'm just misunderstanding it because like I said, I only watched the episode once, but she starts saying that, the deaths weren't Lynn's fault, but as the person in charge of the facility, the people were her responsibility. And I'm like, so the deaths were Lynn's fault. Like, I mean, I get where Jennifer is trying to say, like, yo, you didn't mean to kill these people. You didn't do anything to kill these people. But it's like, okay, you're saying that Lynn was negligent and it was her fault that they died. So I'm just... And then, Lynn gets upset when Jennifer says this and she just leaves. It's basically because what it seemed like is like Jennifer is kicking her while she's down. And it was just a really bizarre conversation, and Lynn gets, extra upset, and Jennifer can't understand, she was almost doing it like she wanted to joke with her mom. Like she was trying to lighten the mood, but she did the wrong thing or something like that. That's how it almost seemed to me, but whatever. So Lynn gets sick in the episode, and Jennifer eventually has to come take care of her. She's in the bathroom with a bottle of, I don't know, some brown liquor beside her while she's getting sick. And Jennifer has to come in and, wipe her face down and, help her. And she's telling Jennifer, she's just crying and telling Jennifer how basically this is all about Jennifer and Anissa for her. Like when she sees those kids, she sees Jennifer and Anissa in them, and she wanted to save them all and blah, blah, blah. And I still don't care about them, but whatever. And that was basically all Lynn did in this episode. But I want to know what's going to happen next. There has to be some fallout from this. They have to eventually tell these parents and families, like, who of the 14 died. What's his name? Detective? What's the old guy? The one that brought in Dr. Jace. whatever his name is. I forget his name. But he has to come back into this because there has to be more to this than just these pod babies. Like, for only 14 of them to die, I guess there are 14 left, right? Because I don't remember how many there were exactly, but I'm guessing that there were 28. So if half of them died, there are 14 left, and I'm guessing that they're going to try to use them as weapons. So I don't know. Lynn has something to do with that. I either want them to kill all of these pod babies or to do something else to make them interesting, because this is not it. This is not it for me right now. I just don't care about it. So let's go to Jennifer. Jennifer she talks to Khalil a lot in this episode. So they're trying to redeem Khalil, which I told you I have a big problem with. He was a dickhead before he went to Tobias. So yeah, and the redemption of Khalil not working for me. But they're doing it, and I just, whatever. Jennifer is starting to forgive Khalil. He comes to her at a point in this episode after he finds out Tobias is the one that was responsible for his shooting. And he's apologizing, and he's telling her he blamed Black Lightning for his shooting, but now he knows it's Tobias. And Jennifer wants to know why he's still staying with Tobias, and he's explaining that basically he fucked up and he can't leave Tobias. Like, Tobias will kill him. So Jennifer is she's telling Khalil she'll be there for him because being painkiller isn't the real Khalil. And it's supposed to be a sweet moment. This is not working. This doesn't work for me because I don't like Khalil. If I felt like this redemption of Khalil was working, then maybe this would be okay. But it's not working for me. So yeah, she spends most of the episode talking to Khalil, trying to get him to get his act together. And they hug and everything in this episode after Khalil gets his ass beat, and she sees his face, and she wants to save him. I don't know, where are they going with this? Because with Khalil, I'm going to talk about Khalil and Tobias in a second, but with Khalil, I feel like there's not really anywhere else to go with him. Like, I don't know that he can just go back. He can't be painkiller on the good side. And I don't know that he can just be, he can't stay with Tobias and still be with Jennifer. They're trying to do this whole Romeo and Juliet thing with them, right now. Is how I described it in my notes, but it's sort of like Romeo and Juliet. They can't be together because they're from these warring factions, and Khalil doesn't know. He still doesn't know who she is, and who Black Lightning is. So I don't know. I don't know what they can do with this next. I don't know what they can do with Khalil. I feel like his story is kind of coming to an end. But I don't think they're going to kill him, because killing him would just be another trauma for Jennifer. And I feel like my girl has been through way too much trauma in this 1.5 seasons for me. So she needs a break. Killing her kind of boyfriend or kind of friend is just not... It's not what I want to see for her right now. I don't want her to be in this constant suffering. What I really need is for all of the Pierces to go to fucking counseling. They all need to see a psychiatrist. They all need to see Perdi. That's what I was thinking in this episode. I'm like, all of you have really serious issues going on right now. You need to be talking to somebody. You obviously can't talk to each other right now. None of you can help each other. So you need someone on the outside that can look in and be like, and be neutral about all of this and just help out. Like, yeah, that's what they all need. Like, they're all really fucked up right now and they all need help. So yeah, that's basically it with that's basically it with Jennifer. Let's get on to Tobias. This is the first time Tobias is not the end of the episode, but Tobias is kind of, he's not in that much of this episode. He gets the councilman, Kwame Parker, talks to the pastor about moving the clinic. Still don't understand why Tobias wants to move this clinic. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing right now. But he talks to the pastor about moving the clinic, and the pastor has to break it down for the councilman. Who he tells him that the folks in Freeland have always known that Tobias was still there running the 100 gang, and that he knows that Tobias is the one that tried to kill him. And basically he tells Kwame that he like, yo, young man, I don't know what Tobias has on you, but you need to stay away from him. And he tells the pastor, tell Tobias that he can kiss my ass. He can kiss my black ass. We are not moving this clinic. I'm not scared of him. It's basically Tobias and the pastor are having an old man pissing contest, an old black man pissing contest, because they are just, Tobias and the pastor are both not about that bullshit, and they're just passing messages back and forth between the councilman. And I know this councilman is like, what the fuck has my life become? Like, how did I get here? Why, he's thinking I'm, moving up through the government. I'm going to go from being a councilman to a senator to, whatever. And his life, I know he's just questioning all of his life choices right now. He's just looking back like, what the fuck did I do to get myself here? So, when the councilman goes back to report to Tobias, like, yo, he ain't doing that shit. Tobias tells Khalil that he needs to kill the pastor. And Khalil is trying to talk him out of it. And we see one of Tobias's flaws right here. And I appreciate it because it's consistency from this character. Khalil's trying to talk him out of it, telling him that it doesn't look good for the pastor to die, like right after he refuses to sell you his clinic. Like, it would look really bad for the pastor to die right now. And Tobias just tells him, I don't care. I want the pastor dead, basically fuck that guy. And this is something we saw from Tobias in the first season. And his sister Tori had to come in and tell him, like, yo, calm down. You have to be patient with this shit. You can't just run in doing like just being crazy to get what you want. You have to finesse this a little bit. And Khalil is just not the guy to do that. He's not Tori. He can't do that with Tobias. Tobias doesn't respect him. So he keeps trying to talk. The councilman, once he hears that Tobias wants to kill the pastor, he's like, oh shit, I'm not here. I don't want to hear any of this. I'm leaving. And Khalil is still trying to talk him out of killing the pastor. And Tobias is like, the pastor got away once. And this is when Khalil figures out that Tobias is the one responsible for his shooting and him being paralyzed. But Tobias doesn't pick up on it. Tobias is so upset about the the pastor, that he doesn't pick up on the fact that Khalil realizes that Tobias was responsible for his shooting. And while Khalil is still trying to talk Tobias out of it, Tobias asks Khalil, why are you why he's flapping his thick lips at him. And I, like, even now, I cannot stop. I cannot stop laughing. He's like, why are you still flapping your thick lips at me? And I'm like, God damn it, Tobias. God damn it. Do you have to be like this every episode? I cannot get enough of I can't get enough of it. I cannot. Like, this is the only reason I want Khalil to be around, because I like when Tobias shits on him. I cannot get enough of it. It is too funny. So, once Khalil comes back from talking to Jennifer, not even talking to Jennifer, he tells, Tobias is like, I don't give a fuck about anything. You go kill the pastor. I'm not asking, he tells the Tobias, like, yo, my mama goes to that church. And Tobias is like, nigga, I'm not asking you to kill your mama. I'm asking you to kill the pastor. Like, what the fuck? Like, come on, stop it. Kill the pastor. You do what I tell you to do, blah, blah, blah. So, Khalil tries to kill the pastor, but the pastor, like, pastors him. And he tells Khalil, God forgives, blah, blah, blah. He does all that. Like, he does the churchy thing, and Khalil can't kill him, and he walks away. So Khalil goes back to Tobias and tells him, like, yo, I couldn't get, there were too many people around. I couldn't kill the pastor. And Tobias goes Black Daddy on Khalil. And he tells Khalil, when Khalil turns around to walk away, Tobias starts taking off his jewelry, starts unbuttoning like his shirt, his shirt sleeves, and he's telling to Khalil, like, yo, he basically apologizes to Khalil for for not giving him more discipline. And he explains the idea of unit cohesion. And he's saying all this to Khalil while he's taking off his jewelry. And he's like, okay, unit cohesion. Obviously, we're not cohesive right now. And I'm sorry about that. So now I got to teach you. And he proceeds to beat Khalil's ass. So Khalil is, like, upset, and he's fueled by the fact that he knows that Tobias is the one that is responsible for his shooting. And he tries to fight Tobias. And like, he gets in a few hits. Tobias was laughing at first, but then he got a little bit more serious about it. And he beats his ass. Tobias just beats the shit out of him. He's throwing him all over the apartment. He's kicking him and shit. Like, he fucks him up. But he doesn't fuck him up as much as, like, he obviously, if he wanted to kill Khalil in that moment, he could have. So he obviously was holding back enough to basically just teach him a lesson, like, nigga, don't you ever try any shit like this again. And he ends the fight by slamming Khalil up against that big fish tank he has. And when Khalil drops to the ground, the fish tank starts to crack. And it eventually just it shatters open. The glass shatters open. And Tobias goes like, damn it, you broke my damn fish tank. And I'm like, really, nigga? He threw him against that fish tank and broke it himself, but he blames Khalil for it. I could not stop laughing once he said, you broke my damn fish tank. And he just walks away. It was so funny. like Khalil is like laying on the ground. His hair is all fucked up. His face is fucked up. And the only thing I could see, I just kept seeing when Khalil is like laying on the ground, because he's the one that throws the first punch at Tobias. Like he runs at Tobias and tries to and attacks him. And the only thing I kept seeing was that that gif of Bart Simpson with that cake where that says "at least you tried" while he throws it in the trash. And I'm like, that is what Tobias did to, like, at least you tried, Khalil. Like, but he does tell Khalil that now he wants Khalil to kill the pastor and his mother. Now, I don't know if Tobias actually meant that or if he was just being a dick about it, but I don't know. I felt like he was serious. Like he still wants Khalil to kill the pastor, and he tells him he has to kill his mother right now. Now, obviously, Khalil is not going to kill his mother. So I don't know. Maybe he's going to he and his mother are going to like, he's going to take his mother away. Or something like that to protect her, because I don't know. Like, who knows what Tobias is going to do. But Khalil is in a shit ton of trouble. Like, when he saw Jennifer later in the episode, his eye was all swollen shut. And, oh my God. It was so funny, though. I mean, and that's kind of... I was about to say that's the most action that we got, but we do get a fight scene with Anissa and Black Lightning. It wasn't that great to me, but it's whatever. So let's get into Anissa, Black Lightning, and these new characters. So we start the episode with a character named Looker. She is a blonde white woman who... I guess she's a meta. We get a whole exposition dump from Anaya later in the episode. Looker controls an element. She controls the silver that fell out of Deacon's face last week, and that's like traveling under all the stuff that looks like it's traveling under all everybody's skin. It's an element. It's called silver, and she calls it an element, and it doesn't really. I don't know. I don't really get all of it, but she controls the element, and she basically controls South Freeland with people that she's controlling with the element. So whatever. So yeah, she controls South Freeland. South Freeland is new. There's a clear definition between the white people in South Freeland, who are called the Sange, and the black people in South Freeland, who she calls the Perdi. And according to Anaya, the town has the black people live in the woods. They're farmers. They grow, organic produce and weed. They have always lived in the woods since slave time. And then, Looker got to South Freeland 30 years ago, and she created the Sange, who are her slaves, basically. They're all white people because if the town, according to Deacon, what Deacon told Anaya, if the town mixes, she starts losing control. So she likes to keep everybody separate. And it's just, it is so much. So Anissa goes to Anaya to tell her about Deacon, and when she tells her about Deacon, it makes Anaya go into labor. It's a whole thing. Anaya's father is deaf, so her mother has to translate for them, and there's obviously like this whole secret thing going on, and they don't want Anissa there. Anissa when she's going to Anaya's house, she puts a tracking device in her shoe, and that's how Gambi sees where she is. When Jeff goes to Gambi's like underground lair, he sees Anissa's tracking device going off, and he follows her to where she is in South Freeland. Anaya gives birth to twins. One is black, one is white. And this is after she has the twins. She explains to Anissa about the Sange and the Perdi and all that. And she tells Anissa that her father will never forgive her for having a baby with the Sange because he hates white people. And it's just, having this girl give this information dump was just like, oh my God, like, come on. Like, why are you doing this to me? So the plan becomes, Anaya had a boyfriend named Joshua, who we see in this episode, who's at the house. He's the one that killed Deacon to make it look like the Sange did it. And the parents, Anaya's parents, are like, yo, you just started a war by killing Deacon. And he's mad at Anaya for dumping him for Deacon. And it's a whole thing. It's just like, how is all of this going on in this town? How is all of this happening in South Freeland with nobody knowing it, really? Like, Anissa comes into this and she's shocked that any of this is going on. And I'm like, there's a South Freeland and there's a North Freeland. How are they so disconnected? I don't know. I don't get it. So, there was just a ton of exposition in this episode. So the plan becomes they have to, who is it? Looker wants the babies because she tells them, in the beginning of the episode she can sense that the babies are infected with the element too. And, Looker can sense it, and she wants her Sange to go out and find the babies because, she wants to be in control of everything. So the plan is to take Anaya and the babies to a safe place. But it doesn't work because the Sange show up. They kill a fuck ton of people. Like this, I couldn't tell who was actually dying, who was just getting their ass beat. Like, I couldn't tell anything in this fight scene. It was craziness going on. So Anissa is standing there. She's in front of everybody. Everybody there has seen her face. They know exactly who she is. But during this fight scene, when Black Lightning shows up, she pulls on her hood and puts on her little face mask thing, and she starts fighting. So I'm like, are we supposed to believe that nobody recognizes that that's Anissa? Or is this just what she does and she's trying to protect her identity or something? Like, I didn't understand what was going on. Then Gambi he can see everything that's happening, I guess, through Jefferson's goggles. Or maybe I don't know how he can see everything that's going on. He can see everything that's going on though. And so he has a drone and he starts shooting the Sange that are attacking them. But apparently nobody sees that either. Like, nobody sees the drone. Nobody recognizes who Anissa is. So what the hell is going on? Like, this was such a badly choreographed scene that I could not, like, I don't know. And maybe we'll find out next week that Jeff actually saw Gambi's drone helping them, but they don't address it in this episode. And I was just like, what is happening? So Lots of people die. The end of this episode, Anaya's parents are missing. Looker has the black baby and Anaya has the white baby, and she is just so, like, when Anissa shows up and asks Anaya where her parents are, she's supposed to have like this shocked and scared look on her face, but she can't do it. So it's, her face is just like frozen and like this, like, just the stupid look on her face. It was just like, oh God, girl. Oh God. And then we get, not only we get the story explained to us a couple of times. So Anaya tells Anissa about this element and Looker and all that. And then, as if that wasn't enough, we have Anissa tell Jefferson the whole story. And it's explained who Looker is. And it's like, did we really need this story explained 2 times? And it only existed, we only needed to see Anissa tell Jeff the story so that Jeff could say, oh, she's just like me, because Looker showed up in South Freeland 30 years ago. So, you know, I don't know what's going on. I didn't like the end of this episode. I didn't like a lot about this episode. Yeah, this just didn't do it for me. And I was just, by the end of the episode, I was just really frustrated and confused. So yeah, I hope the next episode is better. Looker is, I don't know. I don't like the name Looker, but whatever. She's not really scary to me right now. The Sange, yeah, it's just bizarre. And, I hesitate to say that I want more information, but yeah, I think I want some more information to try to figure out like how how South Freeland actually works, because yeah. So that's the end of the episode, you guys. Ooh, this episode was just a lot. So if you want to talk to me about this episode or any other episode of Black Lightning or The Gifted or Saved by the Bell, hook up with me on Twitter. I'm at NerdTravertPod. Use the hashtag NerdyWatch. On Instagram, I'm at The Introverted Nerd. And like the Facebook page at facebook.com/The Introverted Nerd. If you want to leave me feedback, you can send it to theintrovertednerd@gmail.com, or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Introverted Nerd YouTube channel, and you can leave a comment on each individual episode. So go there, subscribe, leave comments. I'll read them all on the show. And yeah, that's it, you guys. So I'm about to go do some shopping online because I have a stupid Secret Santa thing that is driving me out of my goddamn mind. And I need this to be over. So let me get out of here. Later, Gators.